Hi, my buddies. Welcome back to English with Luna. If this is your first time here, my name is Luna, and this is our little corner where we learn English in a calm way, without pressure, without unrealistic expectations, and without feeling like we're back in school. Today, I want to talk about something that sounds big, maybe even scary. Becoming fluent in 6 months. I know, when you hear that, maybe two thoughts come to your mind. The first one is, wow, that sounds amazing. And the second one is, that's impossible. And maybe you've already tried before. Maybe you've downloaded apps. Maybe you've bought courses. Maybe you started very motivated, and then life happened. Work, stress, tiredness, days when you just don't feel like studying anything. So instead of another study harder video, today I want to talk to you about something different. What if fluency in 6 months is not about studying more, but about studying in a smarter, simpler, and more consistent way? In this episode, I'm going to share a very simple learning plan, not complicated, not overwhelming, a plan that fits into real life, a plan that focuses on speaking confidently, not just understanding. Because fluency is not about knowing thousands of words, it's about feeling comfortable when you open your mouth. So if you've ever thought, I understand English, but I don't feel fluent, then stay with me. Let's talk about what fluency really means and how you can build it step by step in a way that actually feels possible. Take a deep breath and let's start.
There's something that almost nobody talks about when they promise fluency in 6 months. It's not vocabulary, it's not grammar, it's not even pronunciation. It's the internal tension that appears when it's time to speak. Because improving English is easy when it stays inside your head. You can listen, you can read, you can even understand complex ideas. You can follow interviews, podcasts, movies without subtitles. And in those moments, you feel capable. You feel like, okay, I'm getting better. But fluency doesn't live in understanding. It lives in exposure. And exposure is uncomfortable. There's a very specific frustration that busy adults feel, especially those who've been learning for years. It's not the frustration of a beginner, it's something more subtle. It's realizing that you know more than you can express. It's having ideas in your mind that feel intelligent, complete, well-structured. And then when you try to say them in English, they come out smaller, simpler, limited. That gap hurts because it feels like English is reducing who you are. You're not less intelligent, you're not less capable, but in another language, it can feel that way. And when that sensation repeats itself enough times, something shifts internally. You stop volunteering to speak. You choose silence in meetings. You avoid voice messages. You prefer typing because it gives you time to edit yourself. And no one notices that quiet battle. From the outside, everything looks fine. You know English. You can pass exams. You can consume content. But inside, there's this quiet thought that says, I should be more fluent by now. And that sentence carries weight, especially when life is already full. Work, responsibilities, expectations, fatigue. After a long day, opening a grammar book feels heavy. Forcing yourself to study like you did when you were younger just doesn't fit the same way anymore. And then guilt appears. The feeling of not doing enough, of starting again every few weeks, of losing rhythm. It becomes a cycle. Motivation, effort, exhaustion, pause, and repeat. And the dangerous part is not that progress is slow. The dangerous part is starting to believe that fluency belongs to other people with more time, more talent, better memory, better pronunciation, more confidence. But fluency is not a personality trait, it's a training adaptation. The real issue is that most adults train English as information instead of as behavior. They consume, they memorize, they review, but they don't systematically build the muscle of speaking under small, controlled pressure. And without that muscle, 6 months can pass and nothing feels different, not because there wasn't effort, but because the effort wasn't directed toward the right discomfort. And I want to say this very clearly, feeling stuck does not mean lacking ability. It often means the system being used was designed for students, not for adults with real lives. There is a difference. And once that difference is understood, everything becomes more strategic and much lighter.
So, if the problem isn't intelligence and it isn't effort, then what actually changes things? Structure. Not a complicated structure, not a rigid schedule that breaks the moment life gets busy. I'm talking about a simple framework that trains speaking consistently, even on tired days. When people say, I want to be fluent in 6 months, what they usually imagine is intensity, studying more hours, waking up earlier, doing more exercises. But fluency is not built through intensity, it's built through frequency and emotional familiarity. You don't need extreme study sessions, you need repeated contact with speaking. And here's the shift. Instead of treating English as a subject you study, you start treating it as a skill you rehearse. For the next 6 months, the focus is not learning more. The focus is speaking every single day in small, controlled ways. That's it. But let's make that practical. Every day has dead time. Commuting, showering, walking, cooking, cleaning, waiting. Those moments are usually filled with silence or random scrolling. That's where speaking practice fits naturally. Not in a dramatic way, not performing, just rehearsing thoughts out loud. Not complex speeches, just describing ideas, reacting to your day, explaining something you already know. At the beginning, it feels artificial. Of course it does. Speaking alone in a room is unfamiliar. But after a couple of weeks, something shifts. The brain stops freezing because speaking is no longer a performance situation. It becomes a normal behavior. That's the first layer, daily low-pressure output. The second layer is shadowing, but not in an obsessive way, not repeating for perfection, shadowing as rhythm training. You choose one short audio, maybe 2 minutes, a podcast clip, a monologue, something natural, not robotic textbook dialogue, and instead of analyzing it, you walk with it, you repeat with it, you let your mouth follow the melody of the language. You're not trying to understand everything perfectly, you're training flow, connection, speed tolerance. Because fluency is not just vocabulary recall, it's rhythm tolerance. When your mouth gets used to moving at English speed, confidence increases automatically, not because grammar improved overnight, but because hesitation decreases. And here's something important. The plan is boring. Not exciting, not revolutionary, not viral. It's consistent. 6 months is enough time for the brain to adapt to repeated speaking exposure, but only if speaking happens almost daily. Even 5 minutes counts, especially 5 minutes on days when motivation is low. The mistake most people make is measuring progress by how much new information they learn, but speaking confidence grows from familiarity, not novelty. You don't need 3,000 new words in 6 months. You need 500 words that feel automatic in your mouth. That's a very different goal. And as weeks pass, something subtle happens. Sentences connect faster, pauses shorten, the internal translation decreases, not because you forced it to disappear, but because you replaced thinking time with rehearsal time. That's the whole philosophy of this plan. Reduce pressure, increase repetition, normalize speaking. Fluency then stops feeling like a distant achievement and starts feeling like a gradual identity shift. Not, I'm trying to speak English, but I'm someone who speaks English daily. And identity changes behavior more than motivation ever will.
Now, I want to slow this down for a moment, because when we talk about 6 months, it's easy to imagine a dramatic before and after moment, like one day you wake up and suddenly everything flows perfectly. No hesitation, no mistakes, no insecurity. That's not how it works. Progress in speaking is quieter than that. In the first few weeks, you might not feel very different. You'll be doing the daily speaking, you'll be shadowing, you'll be showing up. And still, some days will feel messy. Sentences won't come out the way you imagined them. You'll lose words mid-thought. You'll feel slow. That doesn't mean the system isn't working. It means your brain is adapting. There's a stage in language learning that feels uncomfortable because awareness increases before performance does. You start noticing your mistakes more clearly. You hear your pronunciation more critically. You become more conscious of gaps. That awareness can feel like regression. It's not regression, it's refinement. And then there are life weeks, busy weeks, stressful weeks, weeks when English is not your priority because something else needs your energy. During those periods, the routine might shrink. Maybe you only speak for 3 minutes instead of 10. Maybe you skip shadowing one day. That's not failure. That's being human. The danger isn't inconsistency. The danger is the all or nothing mindset. The idea that if you can't do the full routine perfectly, then it's not worth doing at all. Fluency doesn't collapse because of imperfect weeks. It collapses because of long abandonment. And this plan is not about being intense. It's about staying connected. Some months you'll feel strong progress. You'll notice faster responses, less translation, more natural reactions. Other months will feel flat, neutral, stable, not exciting. That stability is still growth. 6 months of consistent exposure doesn't turn you into a native speaker. It turns you into someone comfortable speaking without panic. And that shift, that emotional shift, is bigger than perfect grammar. Confidence isn't loud, it's calm. It's the absence of that tight feeling in your chest when someone asks you a question in English. It's being able to say, "Give me a second," and continue instead of freezing. It's finishing a sentence even if it's not perfect. And there will still be mistakes after 6 months. Of course there will. Even advanced speakers make them. The difference is that mistakes stop feeling like proof of inadequacy and start feeling normal. That's when you know fluency is forming, not when you speak perfectly, but when you stop being afraid of speaking imperfectly. And that takes repetition, not talent. So if during this journey you have days where you think, "Why am I not further?" Pause. Look at your consistency, not your emotion. Feelings fluctuate. Adaptation accumulates. Trust accumulation. That's the quiet power of 6 months done realistically. So maybe 6 months from now, nothing dramatic happens. Maybe there's no cinematic moment where someone applauds your English. Maybe you don't suddenly sound like a news presenter or a movie actor. But maybe something much more important happens. Maybe you answer faster. Maybe you stop apologizing before speaking. Maybe you don't rehearse every sentence in your head before saying it. Maybe English starts feeling less like a test and more like a tool. And that's real fluency. Not perfection, not performance. Comfort. If you stay consistent, if you keep the routine simple, if you keep showing up even on low energy days, 6 months is not a fantasy. It's enough time to build a new speaking identity, and you don't have to rush it. On this channel, we're not chasing overnight transformations. We're building calm progress, the kind that fits into adult life, the kind that doesn't burn you out, the kind that stays.
So if this way of learning feels lighter, stay here with me. We'll keep working on your English step by step, not aggressively, not obsessively, just consistently. And one day, without realizing exactly when it happened, speaking will feel natural. I'll see you in the next episode.